Assault with a deadly weapon.
That's it, Pastor. Double trouble.
But why Will Smith didn't go to jail? Will Smith should have been in prison. That was a felony assault, man.
It sure was.
Out of Zion shall go forth the Lord, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. They shall beat their swords with their spears with pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against thee, neither shall they learn war. O house of David, let us walk.
I gotta get a stand, so
Therefore,
I better get us all three of them. Yeah, I gotta get one of them camera stands. That'll hold. I don't need them to see me. I want them to see you and Pastor, though. They used to seeing me on YouTube. Hey, YouTube, how y'all doing? Y'all know who this is. It's your boy, Raw Thomas Jr. Putting the real news behind the news. Yeah, man, today is May 5th, 2022. Today's topics, man, we're gonna dabble a little bit on the recent Supreme Court decision on Roe versus Wade. Actually, that's not the official decision has pretty much been made, but somebody leaked that, which to me is it's kind of like equal to January 6th, really, if you pay attention to what's going on. That's just something that has never happened in the history of this country, where you had a Supreme Court decision being leaked. We're going to talk about that because everybody talking about the decision itself. Let's talk about who leaked that and for what reason. Y'all, we weren't supposed to be hearing about this today. They actually brought it out, which would probably be about a week or two. But somebody felt the need to leak this, which is really is a crime, because we'll talk about that. Also, we want to talk about this situation with the violence here in Shreveport. It's got to stop. So y'all just hold on. We're going live.
Jump in a little bit. Yeah, so you can hear it.
Go into the cleft of the rocks.
Yeah.
To the tops of the ragged rocks. The fear of the Lord.
Can you hear that?
You
get that?
Yeah, but
you hear that on one ear. It's okay. Don't they gonna be able to hear you. Okay. That's it.
The preceding passages
There we go. Perfect.
from the Holy Bible.
Okay. Yeah.
Narrated
Okay.
by
Right there.
Alexander Scott. This program has been
Good
brought to
start,
you
man.
by Genesis Lawn and Landscape. CDs are available by visiting the website www.scorby.com. All rights granted by Litchfield and Associates.
We are the heart of gospel music. 980 AM and 93.3 FM. The heart of gospel. KOKA.
Expressed on this program are not necessarily those of KOKA, Alpha Media, or its affiliates, but are solely those of the participants on this particular program.
Hello, I'm Pastor Linus May, and I'm Curtis Ray Davis II. And this is Real Talk Radio.
You are about to experience Real Talk Radio, the show where we discuss the relevant issues of today's changing world. The show where we focus on the concerns of the community at large. The show where we allow you, the listener, to voice your ideas, opinions, and concerns.
Yeah.
Real Talk starts.
Well, welcome to another edition of Real Talk Radio here at KOKA 980 AM, 93.3 FM on your dial. We are the show where we just keep it real, tell it like it is, and we are under no plantation restrictions. Listen, we have a special guest in the house today for our listening audience, none other than the bishop himself, the man himself, Pastor Ricky Taylor. We're so glad to have him. And also, the real news behind the news, Rob, my other co-host, and Curtis Davis is out on assignment along with Bishop Charles Daniel. But we're going to have a great show. We're going to jump right on in it on today. There's a few things that we want to wish all the mothers happy Mother's Day
Praise the
Sunday.
Lord.
We hope that you have a wonderful Mother's Day. Well, Pastor, just tell the people a little bit about yourself. We know that you're the newest elected pastor, and just tell them a little bit about you and how long you've been my good friend, and you've been doing work in this community for a long time.
Well, Pastor, thank you so much for having me. God bless you. We're grateful to the Lord today. You and I go way back, Pastor. We have through the good times and through the bad times and through the struggles. I am the pastor elect of the Greater Mount Olive, and we call it the Mount
My Lord.
in Bradley, Arkansas. Amen. The best church this side of 28 Church Road.
Praise the
And
Lord.
we're just grateful. I'm so grateful to be their shepherd, and God has placed me in a place where He knows the word will go forth, and He knows that people are starving for the word, Pastor. You know this, that and we are held accountable for getting the word to them. So
Right.
I've been knowing you, Pastor, over 20 something years. I wasn't even in the ministry when I met you.
That's right.
When I met you, both of us had cherry curves.
That's right.
Uh,
That's been a while.
yes, sir. It's been a while way back, and I remember our first encounter was at the Mary Magdalene Baptist Church.
That's right.
And you were the son of the house there, and we used to go there on Tuesday night and expound on the word of God, and it seemed like we would just take over because the place was so filled. And
That's it.
when I left there, I know that I had sat to the table with a brother. I know I had ate with a brother, and I felt like we broke from the same bread.
That's it. Well, Pastor, let me ask you this. This
Yes,
is
sir.
national. We both are pastors and been pastors for a while. This is National Prayer
Prayer.
Day today. So just tell the people about the power of prayer, because we know what's going on out there in our communities.
Mhm.
Just explain to them how needful prayer is.
Prayer is the Bible speaks of it. The
Right.
man shall always pray.
That's it.
So if the Bible tells us that we must always pray, that there has to be something good in prayer.
There you go.
And so I realized in my life that I have always needed prayer and still need prayer. The power of prayer got a way of not only changing things, but changing your situation.
Right.
They said, well, I'm going through this. Well, I would encourage you to pray. And oftentimes God don't bring us out of our situation, but sometimes when He don't bring us out of the situation,
Right.
He'll prepare us to handle the situation.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying?
You're
So
right.
prayer is very important. When you look at prayer and you realize that without prayer, amen. What's that old saying that live prayer,
Little power.
live power.
Right.
Much
No-
prayer,
much power, no prayer.
no prayer,
No
no power.
power.
So there is power in prayer.
There you go, Bishop. There
Yes,
you go. And we want to jump in on another subject that's going on in the city. We know, Rob, that just recently little young white girl got killed, and
Mm.
we just want you to elaborate on that, Rob. What you think it has brought the attention of some of our representatives and some of our city council persons now. Well, let's hear you speak on that, Rob. We know that there was a lot of young black men and women down
Lord help
through
us.
the years, and now all of a sudden there's an urgency to get something done. Let's hear from you, Rob. Real news behind the news.
Well, thank you, Pastor. And I want to say this and be very diplomatic about it, but y'all know me, I'm gonna keep the truth as what it is.
Right.
It's tragic when anybody loses their lives to senseless and just total chaos, dumb violence.
Mm.
But now in this situation, think about it. Just last week, a couple of days before this little innocent child, keep in mind, got shot as a result of some people having a rolling drive-by. Now we having rolling drive-by with these cats driving down the street, shooting at each other. This little girl was murdered. Well, a couple of days before that, a little black boy was murdered around the corner from me. And where were all the politicians? Where were all the all the outraged white people. Again, this is nothing to criticize or judge anybody, but the outrage in the white community is selective. It only happens when the boys in the hood come out to Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Once we come to Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, then it's unacceptable. We got to do something. Now you notice all these young black boys, black girls been getting murdered. Just last year, we set a record in the city of Shreveport with murders.
Right.
We on a pace this year to almost outdo last year. But no city councilman or none of the local media stations reached out to your state senators and representatives until this little white girl got shot.
Right.
And again, it's tragic that she got shot. But our kids get shot every day. Where's that outrage for them when our kids are getting shot? And I'm looking at how all your politicians are basically stepping and fetching for the white people in this city. And again, it ain't about race, because a bullet will kill a white person, a Chinese midget, a Russian, it will kill anybody. But at the same time, as long as it's our children that's dying, it seems like there is no sense of urgency. Whereas like what they're calling state representatives or congressmen, we got to do something about this violence. But violence, newsflash, y'all, violence is something that we used to every day. Our babies are dying every day. Where is that outrage?
And then I find it disturbing that Miss Lavette Fuller, all of a sudden now, let's call a town meeting. When our young black children have been getting killed constantly. Listen, I never went down there to make friends with anybody. Jesus is my friend. I don't go to trying to compromise to win favoritism with anybody. I mean, if it's not truth, if it's not about doing what is right, I have always been an advocate on doing what is right and holding these people accountable. I ain't trying to win no friendship with them. I was going down there to the city council for years and years and years, but when I saw that we had so many Negro sellouts and we had a new token, another group of sellouts that want to do the same thing that the previous one was doing, and that's to hold us down, don't want to fix the streets, infrastructure, the things that are important to us, they didn't care about those things. And now all of a sudden, one particular white lady, I saw Miss Fuller, she came, and y'all, we got to get rid of these kind of toms, because she have made herself known that she will come out for a little white woman about a tree, which I think the tree was a good cause for the lady to try to fight for. 80-some-year-old lady didn't want the tree cut down. But Miss Fuller, where were you when black means were being cut down? Every day dying, Pastor. We having triple homicide. We had 27 murders already in the city. And so where was the urgency then? So that's what I have a problem with. I call them those who are wearing the D name but have conservative views. I call them hypocrites, because they're Democrats with an aura really behind their name. Because they believe in those views. And so Miss Lavette Fuller has never done anything for District B. And so now there's an urgency since the little white girl got killed. And like we saying on this show, a bullet don't have no name. It could have been white, black, Asian, anybody. So what we're saying on this show is that we are sick and tired of our elected officials only move when somebody of an opposite race or a white person get killed, or we as black people always have to wait till the next white person get killed, or somebody's politician's child get killed, and then all of a sudden is an urgency to do something. So Pastor Taylor, let's get you chime in on this. Why is it like that? The only time they really want to move is when it's a person of the opposite race,
or when it's knocking on your door.
Right.
If I'm looking at it this way, and we try to stay in the context of what the word of God said.
Right.
If God has no respect of person, then why do we?
Right.
I mean, all of our children, grandchildren, they do all in our lives matter.
Right.
But what it is, and the only time I've seen a lot of times, the only time they move is when it's getting close to election.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
when they'll hold your baby. They'll walk around and shake your hand and you can count on me.
Yeah.
Until
Bring
it's
some
time to
chicken and
count on you.
watermelon to the hood. So
Yes.
come to their meeting.
Yeah.
Bring them some chicken and watermelon when they come to speak. And go ahead, pal.
Right.
Right. Yes, it's party time then, but when it really counts, where are we? In the mold of the disciples when
Right.
they went to crucify Jesus, they was at home behind closed doors. Oftentimes, man, we trying to look after our own race, but all races are important.
Right. Right.
And if you're going to put one above the other, then you don't need to be in office.
You
That's the
showed
way I
up.
see it.
And me too,
That's
Pastor.
just my opinion, and,
Right.
and my opinion only matters to me.
Right.
But I'm like this. I'll give to the next child. It don't have to be my child. I'll give it to the next child as I would my own child,
That's it.
because I love all children. I love
Right.
all people. I
Right.
don't have a particular set of color of people.
That's
But
right.
our system, man, our system, we got to do something about
Mm.
the people that is running the system.
Right. And Pastor, let me ask you this, and Rob, both of y'all can chime on this. Why do we keep electing the same old people that has made it up in their mind that they don't want to see a change in our communities? You know, it bothers me that we have the Vet Fullers and we have the James Green, and people want to say stuff like this. Well, Pastor Mays, preachers shouldn't get involved with politics. So I asked one preacher, I said, well, who was David? I said, David was both king and politician. He was both prophet and politician. So if we don't get involved, Pastor and Rob, you know, but God want good politicians, people that have a form of humanity toward their neighbor, love your neighbor as yourself. So the Bible has many instances of politicians being pastors or politicians being Christians, but we want to highlight about it's a separation between church and state. You live within the state. Your Christian morals and values should be a part of changing the community from which you live in. What you all say on that, Pastor?
But first, let me say this, and then I'm going to let Brother here get in. You said, why do we keep putting old people in office? Because people are going down voting and don't know about the candidate that's that's trying to get in office. They're going by hearsay what somebody else said about this candidate. But you got to look at their record.
Ooh.
You got to look at them for yourself, not because who they are, but what have you done for our community?
Right.
They have to do a thorough search, and that's what's going on. That they're not really searching. Their friend called, if you vote for this, they're gonna get us more money. Well, it's not about money.
Right.
Money helps.
Right.
Money helps. But that's my take on that. We are voting for people because they either been in there one term before or whatever, and we have not diligently searched their record.
Oh, you can say that again.
My whole thing to them preachers that's talking about you separate politics. It's election season. Don't let none of these politicians come in your church and hold their quote unquote campaign rallies in your church. How many of these pastors that will say that gonna let Steve Prater come in their church when it's election time for the sheriff? How many of them gonna let these cats come in because they might slide them a few dollars and basically propagandize your congregation? Now, with black people, it's about identity politics.
Right.
I like this guy because he always had on a nice tie. His shoes look pretty neat. You know, he speaks eloquently, and his mama was in politics. Right. So I seen him do at the ice cream shop buying a lot of little kids ice cream. That's identity politics. Do you know what his stance is on three strikes law? Do you know what his stance is on the violence in our community? What answers he has? We don't ask those questions. As black people, we just go by look. Well, grandmama always voted for him and these people here, so I'm gonna go and vote for him. And don't know that this guy here is one of the people, even though he got a black face, he's still on the white agenda. You know what I'm saying? Being silent about the killings in our neighborhoods until it happened to a little poor little white children over in South Highlands. So we need to start doing our research. You know, all these smartphones, and we be so dumb when it comes to electing our politicians.
Man, it is, Robin. You are so right, and I'm gonna let Pastor chime in on this too, because I have watched down through the years why a lot of them don't like me because I've been behind the scenes. I see how they have played on the people here in Northwest Louisiana, black people for so long. They have what's called a meeting before the meeting, I noticed 80-some-year-old black woman had came down there to the city council, and they was laughing at her because raw sewage was coming in her house, and uh, uh, they take black people for granted down there before the Shreveport City Council, and so that's why I just felt it necessary to stop going, because I know that we wasn't getting anything done, so we had to go on a broader scale. That's what Curtis is doing, and all of us going to Baton Rouge and trying to implement public policy, and going to Washington, D.C., and making sure, because the Negroes here locally, all politics is local. The local politicians here have no concern about their constituency. They okay for you going out there picking up some garbage and stuff like that there and keeping the neighborhood clean. That's fine with me. But I'm saying we need projects in our communities for community revitalization programs to start making our community look like a neighborhood versus a hood. And most of them, Rob, they're moving out. They don't have to live there. Out of sight is out of mind. These are the kind of people that we are dealing with. And listen, we at KOKA 980 AM on your dial, 93.3 FM on your dial. The telephone number is 318-221-9802. And also, we're going to get in very briefly on, Pastor, what do y'all think about the abortion situation that just recently that was the Roe v. Wade situation that the Supreme Court now has drafted what's called a draft on it. It's not official. It's just a draft, meaning that other stuff is going to be added to it. But it's been over 50 years since this was set into motion. And now all of a sudden the Republican Party is deciding that, hey, we know the draft was leaked. We know that was unprecedented for it to be leaked in such a manner. But I'm looking into the deep part of it, because a lot of people don't understand, Brother Rob, that young black women are top of the ledger when it comes down to abortion, because they don't have proper places they can go. Now, I got to keep it real. I'm pro-life. I believe that I believe the sanctity of all life is important.
Yes.
I believe that's a decision that God gave us, and somebody might feel different on. We feel different on different things.
Yes.
But I'm a lifer. I believe that all life matters, and that a child deserves life. But I want to hear from you all, Brother Rob. What you all think about this abortion situation that just recently came up?
I pick this. Ronald Reagan said, the only people that's cool with abortions have already been born. Meaning that, what if your mama would have aborted you? You wouldn't have been born. First of all, you got to realize there is nothing in the United States Constitution. There's never been one amendment, not one phrase says anything that you have a constitutional right to an abortion.
Right.
Nothing in the Constitution.
Nothing in it.
Roe versus Wade was just a decision that was made on a state level,
right,
that allowed safe abortions, because they was aborting. People were sticking coat hangers and things of that nature.
Right.
First and foremost, if you practice godliness and responsibility,
right,
you wouldn't be getting these unwanted pregnancies.
Right.
Now that you got an unwanted pregnancy, that child suffers. Now, let me give y'all something. Y'all want to talk about, they want to make the basic premises is when a life starts. Believe it or not, does the Bible say, and I'm not a religious person, but the Bible says you knew me before I was formed in my mother's womb.
God did.
Every
right.
sperm is a life.
Right.
Every egg is a life. Think about it. If that sperm was not a living seed,
right,
it would not be able to swim up the canal to unite with that egg.
Right.
Once that sperm hits that egg, what happens? Cellular division takes place. Right. And then 6 weeks later, you got a zygote.
Right.
3 months later, you got an embryo.
Right.
Do you know some people in this abortion case is so extreme that they're willing to go all the way up into the woman's 9th month?
Right, Lord have mercy.
So what we have already in America is a culture of death,
right,
and black women in particular. 180,000 is a number I want y'all to think about it. That's the number of black women who have an abortion every week in America. We're killing ourselves to the point we're killing our babies to the point we don't have enough people to reproduce and replenish our numbers. So I'm all for the Supreme Court decision, because all they said is, as a Supreme Court, we have to go based upon the Constitution, the United States Constitution. And according to the Constitution, there's no guarantee for anybody to have an abortion. So what we're going to do is send it back and let the states make their decision. And you see a lot of states are making.
And then you're right, Rob, but we kind of differ on that, because it was not guaranteed for the for black people to even, or women to even have a right to vote. You know, on this show, y'all, we don't come already staged to say anything. We just keep it real, our personal views. We love each other, but we have our own personal views on certain things. My thing is that only a few years back, black people weren't able to ride the bus. So it's not in the Constitution that, we didn't have that right. These were rights that men decided to put into play, because all God's people are created equal, free, but there's certain things that are not written in the Constitution, or wasn't written in the Constitution. Let me put it like that. It wasn't written in the Constitution at the time of the founding fathers. The 13th and 14th Amendment came into play, but that didn't, as we discussed on the show, that didn't give us a guarantee for so-called freedom that we're supposed to have now. But I want Pastor Taylor to chime in on his thoughts on abortion as well.
Well, I've always been, I'm pro-life. I've always been against it.
Right.
But the laws, they have, as you said, they have made decisions for us.
Right.
We and it just, to me, it's just a waste of life. I mean, to avoid abortion, then do something about it.
Right.
They got things that you can do to protect yourself.
Right.
From that.
Right.
But it have been, I think we have been set up to fail from the beginning.
Right.
But I put everything in God's hand, and I just pray for situations, and I try not to get too I don't want to say emotional about it, but get